Well, good evening, everybody. Been a while since I've been on here, but anyway, we're gonna get to the point here. I was driving down the road. You can see behind me here. I looked over and spotted this cemetery, which I know some of you know I have a fascination with cemeteries. Uh, that may seem creepy to some, but it's not. It's not the. It's the history part that I like. That's the reason I have the fascination. I like the history with it. But anywho, I'm gonna get you turned around and show you. This one here is pretty neat. Um, I spotted. We'll have to go down by the road behind you. There's a particular grave I want to look at, the one that caught my attention. But anyway, let's get you turned around. We'll take a look at this place. So I was coming down that road right there, and I just happened to look over. I was coming from that direction. Just happened to look over, and spotted that grave right there. But we'll go and get down there to that. But this says Haley's Mill Mormon Cemetery. I'm assuming that used to be an old church, just by the way it looks. So we'll take a quick look at it. It's pretty neat. I like old buildings. Yeah, it's don't look like it's being used as a church anymore. Probably, I'm gonna guess it's probably for burial services. But anyway, let's take a look at some of these. These are really neat. I found one right down there I want to show you. But the reason I think these are neat, because these have pictures of the people, so you can kind of put a face with, the name. And I find that interesting. But this was William Ralph McFarland, 1911 to 1971. And I'm assuming his wife, Maggie Sharber, I don't know how you say that. 1899 to 1981. See, I like it because you can kind of get a visual who he was. And then, we have the Browns right here. There's another. Oh, wait a minute. These must all been related. This lady's last name is Sharber, if I'm saying it right. This is the same last name. Here's Myrtle and Benny Combs. It's pretty neat. But this is one I want to show you right here. I don't know how you say that. Manar. I'm trying to get my shadow off of it. Manar. But it's Elder J.L. Born 1876, died in 1934. And I'm assuming his wife, Dolly, born 1874 to 1965. It's pretty neat. Yeah, it's just really, I don't know. I know to some people it might be weird, but it just really fascinates me. Here's some pretty old ones. It says father, mother. I'm going to pause the video for a minute to try to read these. It's father, A.T. Grace, 1877 to 1928. This one's mother, Myrtle Grace, 1879 to 1966. And this is one I had to stop and try to read it. His brother, Clarence, from 1910. Wait a minute. 1810 to 1820 or 1928. I'm still having trouble reading it. That's pretty neat. Yeah, this had to be an really old church. That would have been a church building. I don't know how old, but I remember as a kid seeing these quite often. And it was older than that. It's just there was more of them around. But even has no outhouse back here. A lot of you don't know what an outhouse is, but we poor folk didn't have that indoor plumbing like you fancy people did. This is a pretty neat one here. Sweeney. I know a guy last name Sweeney. Oh, it's got a picture too. It's Mother Delta, 1881 to 1942, and son, I can't pronounce that. Oh, Ezra. Wait a minute. Mother over here. And I guess that's son. Ezra. That sounds like a female name, but it don't matter. 1898 to 1964. The picture's getting pretty worn, but you can still kind of see who she was. It's pretty fascinating. There's quite a bit of new ones in here, or newer, I should say. But still pretty neat. Here's Jesse E. Jeannie, died in '73, and that last name again, Opal Sharber. I still don't know how to say that. Died in 1988, and there's a picture of him on there. Pretty much every one of these has a picture of the, of the people who's buried here. It must be something Mormons do. I really don't know. I'm just making that assumption. Now this one here's pretty neat. I forgot about it. That last name again, Mariner. Anyway, you have John S., who died in 1987, and I'm assuming his wife, Ruby, who died in 1996. But you have a baby picture of John and a baby picture of Ruby. Then you have a picture when they was young, I'm assuming married probably. Then they're, older picture, later time of them. That's pretty fascinating. That kind of tells their story, so to speak. Shows a large window into their life. That's the kind of things I find fascinating. But anywho, this is a pretty small cemetery. It must be, since the names are all pretty much the same. Like that Mariner, if I'm saying it right, I don't know. That Sharber, I don't know if I'm saying it right. And this Whitson. Anyway, there's a lot of them has that name on it, so this must be a family plot. But anywho, we're gonna carry on. There's another one I want to go to. I was actually headed to, and I spotted this one. So let's get back into old Yoda and head on over there. Okay, we're at our next location, which is a military cemetery. These are all veterans. Their spouses, whether it be male or female. This is strictly for military burials. It's not for, I guess you could say, the general public. What I mean by that is, you had to have been in the service. Either the wife or the husband had to be in. And then, the significant other can be buried with them. But anywho, the reason I brought you here, because we have a very unique grave here. We have Isaac Palmer, private of Virginia militant Revolutionary War. He was born in 1747 and died in 1843. Farmer, Minuteman, and patriot and servant. And his wife is buried here with him also. It'll be Anna Macaulay. I can't really pronounce that word, but Palmer. Born June 16th, 1747. She died in 1842. She's a faithful wife, a loving mother, grandmother, patriotic American. So I find that pretty fascinating. That's pretty neat. Now this particular couple, as I'm telling the story, we have an old cemetery back here we're gonna go visit. But that particular couple, their graves was actually found on a farm about 20 miles from here, and they was forgotten. I'm sure at the time they was buried there, everybody knew about them. But as the years passed and the land transferred, owners and all that, they was kind of forgotten, because it was the only two graves on that land, on that particular farm. And similar to this one here and many others you see, the wooded area, well, I don't know when they was buried if it was woods, but when they was located, It was all wooded area, so mine growed up, you know, after the burial. But anywho, the ground got all growed up, and you know, it's forgotten about. And someone else had purchased that land here about, I want to say, I think it was 9 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that. And was, you know, out walking, kind of surveying the land he had bought, and stumbled upon their graves out in the woods. So he personally paid to have them, you know, exhumed and brought over here to the military cemetery, which is that's pretty cool. But anyway, as I was rambling, we made our way over to this. I would say this is the original cemetery. It's not military, but it's the original one to this location. These graves are very old. Unfortunately, it is not maintained by anybody really, by the state, by the families, or nothing. Now, technically, we aren't on government-owned land. That military cemetery out there is adjacent to a military base. I am actually on government land, I'm not actually on the base, I'm just on a part of the base. I guess that's how you say it. This area is open to the public. You don't have to have clearance, you don't have to, you know, be in the military to come out here. We just, you know, they just ask that you respect it and treat it like you would any cemetery. But back to the original point, this cemetery is unkept. Now, the workers here, I don't know why, let me back up a little bit. I don't know why the state doesn't maintain it, considering it's right there, you know, it's right on their property. The state has acquired all that out there. Now, they've had it for years. This, you know, this isn't a new cemetery out there. It's been here for years. But anyway, they've acquired all that land. On this side of this old cemetery we're in, they've acquired all that. They own everything behind it and everything on this side of it. So, back to my other point, I don't know why they just don't go ahead and maintain this. There's some red tape, you know how it is working with the government. There's some red tape why they claim they don't. But I do know that some of the workers here that work for the veteran cemetery, they do come in here on their own will and keep it somewhat, you know, under control. Now, recently you'll notice right here there's a huge limb. That's actually not a tree, that's a huge limb out of one of these old trees. And back here there's a tree that has fallen in a storm here recently. Now, the workers here are not allowed to just come in here and cut all that up. That's just, you know, some more silly rules, you know, working for the government. But anywho, I do know personally that they do come in here when they're mowing the property. They do swing through here and try to knock this down real quick, you know, on their own will, just to keep it from being forgotten. So we do appreciate that. Anywho, enough rambling. Let's look at a few of these. We're not gonna look at them all, just a few. Here we have Miss Ann Palmer. It's really hard to read. She was born June 16th, 1747, and she died September 24th, 1812. This one here is going to be hard to read too. Mary, I can't make out her last name, who was born March, I think that's 19th, 1779, and died in 1880. Wow, that's really old. This is Benjamin, it's B-E-N-J period. So I'm assuming it's Benjamin M. Bowell. I don't know how you really say that. Born April 24th, 1835. Died October I think it's 9th, 1887. Really, really neat. I'm really fascinated by these really old graves like this. And there's a bunch out here. They're all super old. Trying to make this out. Let's look at this one. It's a little bit easier to read. This is Elizabeth. I know the sun's creating a shadow for you, but this is Elizabeth Major, born 17th of November, 1785, died 3rd of November, 1812. Can we make Edward Campbell? Well, that's interesting. Considering the area we're in, I wonder. I'll have to look into that. But anyway, Edward Campbell, born September 18th, I think that's what it is. 1818, died September 20th, 1840. He wasn't that old. We'll look at this one. In memory of the, in memory of Mistress Nancy Durrett. Okay, I'm having trouble making this out. What's this next word right here? If you can make that out. I think it's Collsoi. I don't know, folks. If you can make it out. Richard Durrett. Oh, that's the same name as the last one. Born the 11th of January. Oh, wait a minute. Born 1st of January, 1817. Died the 12th of February, 1819. Wow, he wouldn't. 18, that was only 2 years old. Huh, interesting. Here's another Durrett. Henry, born December 1771, died July 1825. Yeah, I could look at these all day. Which I've been out here before. And kind of poked around and looked at stuff. And all these smaller stones here, they just have, like this one, it just has 2 initials, ED. And this one right here has got AD. Some of the other ones you can't hardly read. This one over here has MMD. So I don't really know if that's their initials or if that just stands for something. I really don't know what that one means. This is, yeah, I'm not even going to be able to read that. It's another Durrett. I can make out the last name, if I'm even pronouncing it right. And I can see letters here, the first name, but I can't make it out. And we have one here on the ground. This limb is falling on. Oh, I'm upside down, okay. 20th of March. Okay, I think some of it's missing. I think. I can't make this part out right here. But it's February 18th, I believe. Something there, 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 INFIN. I really don't know what that says, folks. I'm sorry, but died 9th of February, 1871, I think. Anywho, just wanted to show these to you real quick. I'm just fascinated by really old stones like that. Them dates there, these people here, I mean, you gotta think, they was here before anything else was here. Alright, sorry about that. I got cut off receiving a phone call, which stops the video. But anywho, I came back to the car, and I don't even remember what we was talking about on them stones. Oh yeah, them old stones we was looking at. I'm really fascinated with the history of them and their names and their dates, because a lot of them is 1700s, 1800s. That's before, I mean, that was before a lot of America was even here as we know it today. I mean, certainly this town wasn't here. Now, I'm obviously people probably lived here, or they wouldn't be buried right there. But I mean, you know, civilization as we know it today, subdivisions and Walmart and, you know, gas station on every corner, you know, none of that was here. This was all probably farmland or you know, obviously privately owned. I'm sure a lot more of this area was wooded than it is now. I would just like to be able to see what it looked like back then. But anyway, I just want to share it with you. It's something I like to do. I like to look at old cemeteries. You know, kind of get to see who the people was. You know, what it was like back then. And I've noticed. I don't know the exact dates, but I noticed like there's a period in the 1800s between the end of the 1700s and beginning of the 1800s where it seemed like everybody was very young, like in their 20s, maybe 30s. And then in the middle of the 1800s, it seemed like the ages are a lot older, you know, 60s, 70s, even a few 80s. And then towards the end of the 1800s, and I'm just basing this off headstones, you know, the dates on there I see, it seemed like towards the end of the 1800s, the ages get really short again. Like everybody's dying really young again. And then beginning of the 1900s, you know, the ages start going back up, and even to modern day, they're, you know, not all, but on average, most people who pass away are 70s, 80s, you know, the 90s, which a lot of these veterans buried here, I've walked, you know, I've seen almost all these headstones, and the average age is like 90 years old in here. Now, there's a lot of young ones, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of young ones, but it seemed like the average age is around 90 years old. So I'm curious what went on back in the 1800s. I mean, I know we had plagues, like the Black Plague, and there was something else, syphilis. We had tuberculosis was bad. You know, I know we had all them diseases that killed a lot of people young, but I'm curious what their lifestyle was like. What, you know, how did they live? I don't know. Anywho, I'm rambling, kind of in my own head there, talking to myself, but I'm gonna end this video right here, make it kind of short, or I hope it's short, and I'm trying to get back with you here by next week. I got some things I gotta do, and probably share it with you. It'd be kind of boring, but you know, it is what it is. Boring's my middle name. So anywho, until I see you again, y'all have a good day, and God bless you.